Joey, thank you for joining me today on Pop Culture Unplugged.
It's good to be here, bro.
Exciting times, my friend. I want to make this interview special. I was telling people, I'm from Massachusetts, so are you. I'm dedicating this interview to the Massachusetts fans.
I love it. All the massholes.
All the Massals, that's right. First off, congrats, man. We have a new album coming up next month. How excited about you all this?
We're very excited. You know, we're very grateful to be able to stay together this long as a band, and we've had quite a history, and we owe it all to the greatest fans in pop music history, as we say, because it's a fact. Um, it's been about 10 years since we've done an album, but this one feels really good. Essentially Donnie wrote half of it, I wrote the other half. So, and then, the band coming together the way we normally did. But it just feels like an extra love, extra juice, extra, magic around it. And we're excited.
Mm. You know what? We'll just jump right to the album first, and then we'll switch around with some of the questions.
Okay.
Still Kids. I love the name of it. Does it make you feel like you're back in the 1980s there again, jumping into the first album? Is that what you're going with a theme?
Yeah. I think that's what we and the fans do for each other. Us and the blockheads, we make each other feel young. When they come to a show, they can scream and yell and act like teenagers, and we do the same thing on stage and get to be rock stars and just come together. And it's a range of emotions. Over the years, it feels like family. So to have this album, it's nice to have new music. It's like another soundtrack, this album, of where we are now.
Mm.
And there's nothing like having an album to kind of just you know make friends with. And I love putting on an album and listening from beginning to end, like back in the day, and having it a part of your life. And for me, it's like finding an album for the summer. You know what I mean? A couple of
Mm.
albums that you can just like really get into. So well, we're hoping this is a good one for people to get into.
Mm. You mentioned that it's been 10 years now. Whose idea was it until it was time to do another one?
I'm gonna have to blame Donnie for that one. He got on the horse, and he was really feeling like he wanted to make some new music. We had a song a couple of years ago called "Bring Back the Time" that really did well for us, and I think that just kind of lit his fuse again, and he started cooking. And I was a little bit late to the game, because you know, you kind of want to be patient. I was trying to get a vibe for the album, and eventually I did, and I was just so excited to write a bunch of songs, and then, have the group, embrace them and jump in. And but yeah, it was Donnie's idea.
Mm. How long did it take you guys to put this album together for the new one?
We really started cooking in the last year. We were done by the end of last year. You gotta nowadays, vinyl is back,
Yeah.
but there's not as many record plants. So you have to get in line, so your record has to be done like 6 months before it's actually coming out. So, but I would say, the better part of last year, maybe the end of 22, most of 23.
Mm. On the album, is there any specific tracks that hold a personal like, significance to you about the journey that you guys have been through all these years?
Yeah, there's a lot of them. It's fun to, have five guys in a group and have that sound. I think we just have a sound, and when we get on a record, it becomes a New Kids record. That's pretty cool to have that thing. Actually, what comes to mind is the last song on the record. It's called "Stay," "Make Me Want to Stay," and it has a lot to do about the history and relationships. The cool thing is music can mean a lot of different things to different people, and that's the beauty of it. It sounds like a relationship song, a one-on-one song, but it's easy to think of, you know, someone you love, something you love, pulling you back in through the years, the ups and downs of a relationship and a dynamic. And then, you know, coming to the realization of just surrendering to the fact that, they're a part of your life and they mean a lot to you. And so it's a nice, and the vibe and the orchestration on it, is I was hoping it was going to be the closer of the album, and it was.
How much would you say has like the group changed in their style of music from the beginning till now with all these albums you've done?
Well, I think essentially, we started as an R&B pop group,
Yeah.
and I think um over the years we have grown and stretched and tried different things, maybe a little bit more of a hip hop vibe. Maybe, we've been working with these producers, DK Music from Denmark, actually, over the years, and they have that kind of Euro pop sound. This kind of, you know, encompasses all of that, but really, I think mostly leans back on that R&B pop thing that we were raised on.
Mhm. For like, what do you think was like the challenge or the reward with this album? You think?
Well, the challenge is obvious. I mean, for me particularly, to write music, for your band, for guys that you look up to and that are important to you, and you're kind of putting your heart out on the line, and then calling them up and say, hey, have a listen, what do you think, and oh, by the way, will you sing this part? That's that can be tricky. Also, the challenge of us, like, not just showing up at a studio every day and going at it,
Yeah.
because we have these big lives, everybody's up to their own thing
Mhm.
in 4 different cities, and so that could be tricky. That could be tricky as well. That's challenging. Um, and the reward is just sticking with it and ending up with an album that we're very proud of, and we're excited to share.
Mhm. Any pressure because you said you wrote half the album, Donnie wrote the other half of the album. Any pressure going into this as you as a writer too?
Um, no, I think the pressure is just, you know, um, is was in this room. The room I'm in now is where I wrote it with my writing partner Sean Thomas, and um, you know, I think what's cool about it is, in the idea of it and the way we wrote it, the songs really go together. So you can't, the goal is that, first of all, it's not about who's writing it. I'm grateful for the experience because it's a joyful experience, and anything worthwhile isn't easy, so,
Yeah.
but you want them to be seamless, so hopefully nobody knows what I wrote and what Donnie wrote. You know what I
Right.
mean? It's seamless. As far as, like, no, I gotta answer you that, because I'm just at a place where I'm writing music and it just feels true. I mean, there is a vulnerability about it, but originality is important. So, you know, I'd rather risk some originality and miss on other things,
Mhm.
so that I might be different though down the line. I might be crushed in about 6 months. So we'll
Come
check
on.
in.
Come on, come on. You mentioned the new kids, they have a big history and everything. You started at the young age of about 12, right?
Yeah.
If you could go back in time and tell yourself something at the 12-year-old Joey, what would you say to him about the journey you've gone through and
Yeah.
any advice? I mean, have you thought about that?
I mean, my son is 16 right now, and he's a phenomenal musician. I mean, he's got more talent at 16 than I might ever have. And I'm not just trying to be self-deprecating, or,
Yeah.
he's done the work, and you know, at that age I felt like I was shot out of a cannon, and I've been catching up ever since.
Mm.
And in some ways that's okay. I mean, I just turned 50, and but I feel like I'm 25, in a lot of ways, and I appreciate that. And life is short, but I think life, you know, affords us a lot of opportunities. So I'm glad of that. And so I would tell my kid self, like, hang in there, you know, don't don't feel so desperate that, every opportunity is the thing, you know. Opportunities come and go. You win some, you lose some. But the joy and the reward is in the work and in the learning, and then taking what you learn and building something with that.
You mentioned your son and everything. My wife went to your concert in Fenway. It was like 2, 3 years ago when you pulled him on stage,
Yeah.
and she loved that. Well, how was that experience like pulling your own son on the stage?
Oh, it was phenomenal. And yeah, he started, I mean, on that one, I think he was playing the grand piano and
Yeah.
really leading us in the song. And that takes guts and that takes talent. And um yeah, it's been thrilling. It's been thrilling to have him aboard, and he's becoming his own artist now, and forging his own path. So it's a little bit different. But when he was younger, yeah, we could just pull him up there and it was gorgeous and cute. But now it feels a little bit different.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, you never know. You might do a song with him eventually someday, or even write something with him.
If I'm lucky, yeah.
There you go. I want to go back a little bit in time too. I was doing some more research on you, everything too. I read somewhere that your mother wanted you to be a priest. Is that true?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Isn't that great?
So,
She's a good Catholic woman, a staunch Catholic. Her father was almost a priest, was in like the
okay.
seminary for 8 years. So
Yeah.
she would say it in jest, because she was a funny, animated lady, and she made a lot of people laugh. So, and thanks to the Catholic Church, I am here because they kept going. They had 9 kids, and I was number 9. So
Right.
they were practicing Catholics, but that never had any legs. Me being a priest.
Mm. So, what do you think would have happened if you'd ever made it to like entertainment industry? If you chose a different path, where do you think you'll be this day? Any idea?
Well, I I grew up in musical theater,
Yeah.
in community theater, and I loved it. It was a lot of fun. I loved the process. I loved the community of it. It was super fun. So I probably would have stayed with that. I was a pretty good student. I think maybe teacher, some sort of a teacher. Um, I don't know how far I would have went, you know, professionally. I don't think I would have said, "Oh, let me give it a shot and go to New York or something like that in musical theater." I don't know. I'm not so sure.
I mentioned earlier too, you joined the band at a young age. Also, I did read a couple interviews that there was a couple times in your point in your career you thought about just walking away from that. Is that true?
The group?
Yeah. When you
Yeah,
like right before when you first started joining them, because you were the youngest.
I was the youngest. It wasn't easy. They were um at the time, they were 15 and 16, which is a big difference between that and a 12-year-old.
Right.
So I didn't really fit in. Um, it wasn't great. They weren't the sweetest guys in the world at the time, you know what I mean? That kind of thing. So, um, and it was a weird thing. It wasn't like we were together as a band and then we went off and making records and doing shows.
Right.
It really was there was a lot of gray area. And I think my instincts were like, this isn't fun. I want to do something else. I just want to be a kid. And as the story goes, Donnie kind of talked me back. I think officially I did say I'm done.
Yeah.
And then he gave me a call and maybe he didn't take no for an answer, but he sweet talked me and he was genuine. Um and I hung in there. But it's being in a band is tough, man. It's like that's why so many bands don't make it. It's really such a commitment to hang in there and balance, what's important to you as an individual and also, sacrificing for the group, for the greater good, So it's tricky and it's still tricky to this day. Um, but that's what makes it such a gift as well.
Mhm. So after like in the 90s and early 2000s, we had all these other boy bands that came out. Like I'm sure you've had a chance to meet some of them. What's like one key advice that you've given them if they ask you for any advice?
No, they don't. I mean,
No?
they've already, yeah. I mean, the thing is, you can't say anything. You can't say really anything to anybody, right? I
Yeah.
mean, you know, it's like we got to learn on our own. Um, it's nice to have that camaraderie for like a fellow guy in a boy band to know that we went through the same thing,
Hmm.
and you have some laughs and you kind of roll your eyes, but like, it was never like, oh, we did this, did you ever try this? Like, no, it just doesn't roll that way. It's more of just like this brotherhood, this unspoken solidarity. Um and yeah, you gotta kind of cut your teeth on your own.
Any plans to see you back on Broadway? I was told to ask you this.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. There's a couple of opportunities. I'm involved in a show called Drag the Musical that's going to New
Yeah.
York, and great show, great music, great storyline. And then also a show called The Wanderer that is very close to going to Broadway. So we'll see. It's kind of in the stars. I mean, Broadway is like there's so many shows trying to get in, but those two shows have a great shot at getting in. So funny enough, at the same time, there's a few balls in the air.
I wrote this down. I didn't want to forget to say to you, The McCarthys was one of my favorite sitcoms. I don't know what happened after one season though. I was
I
disappointed with that.
know, I
We
know,
all
I know.
it was a good show.
It was a great show. It was a funny time. TV was really changing. It was a Thursday night. They wanted big, big. Now we were still doing like 10 million, which would be like over the moon right now. But you know, it's a tough business. So they expectations were high, but it was a blast to do.
Would you ever jump on a sitcom again if you could?
Oh, it's the best schedule in the world. I'm throwing around a few ideas because I wanna maybe start something, and it takes time to build, but absolutely, for sure.
Oh, this is I got a couple fan questions for you too, if you don't mind. Like,
Mhm.
what are the McCarthy's? What do the McIntyres do on a Saturday night? What do you do on a Saturday night when you're not working?
Well, my three kids and my wife, and we got a dog, and then we have a cat that just found us, and like it's like we took her in, and she's amazing, and I never knew I'd have a cat because I'm allergic, so I'm trying to deal with that. But um we love being together. You know what I mean? We love our house, and we love hanging out. We might watch a movie, and Santa Claus brought a ping pong table this past year, and just hanging out. We live in LA, and as I say, the weather out here it's embarrassing. It's so
Mhm.
good, it's embarrassing. So we soak it up and take some walks. And um, my wife was just talking about, we keep hearing about this amazing taco truck that's like down the street, and I was like, we should do that some Saturday. We'll do tacos. You know what I mean? So stuff like that. Not incredibly exciting, but that kind of stuff.
Mhm. You mentioned the weather, everything. You don't want to know what's going on today in Mass. Heavy rains, 40s in April.
I know, I
You don't
know.
mi-
It's
you
been
don't
rough
miss
for you
that.
guys.
You don't miss that, do you?
No, not really. It feels quaint and romantic from back here.
There you go. So we got the new album next month and everything. When's the tour starting? I saw there's a tour. You guys are gonna be right around the corner for me. You're gonna be in Hartford soon, I saw.
Yeah. It starts June 12th, I think, in Ohio, and goes for about 2.5 months. So it's going to be great. I mean, we're excited. It's the Magic Summer Tour, which was what we did in 1990. So it's sort of a reimagining of that. And as we do, we get very nostalgic, but mix it together with some good music and new music that we love. And our fans, you know, our audience is like a show. They're like the sixth man. You know what I mean? So it's a good time.
No Fenway stop this year, huh?
No Fenway, just Great
Uh,
Woods, the old Great Woods. Yeah, I don't
is
know
the
what
plan?
the hell they call it now, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Is there a plan for Fenway eventually again? You know?
I'm sure there is. I mean, it's such a special place. We don't throw that around. The fact that we played it 3 times already is just staggering. So, yeah, I'd like to think that we'll play it again.
Amazing. Joey, is there
Mhm.
anything else you want to tell the fans before we end this interview, or anything for the mass holes like you mentioned earlier?
Yeah, yeah, no, I mean, Boston and New England has been so good to us, supported us, has been so happy for us over the years, and that means everything to us, and we appreciate it. And to all your listeners and followers around the world, the same as well. And we're excited about the tour, excited about the new album. Go out and get it May 17th. It'll be worth your time.
Amazing. Joey, I want to thank you for giving a few minutes today. Let's get you back on soon.
Sounds good, buddy.
So, yeah.